All right, hello. Welcome
Hello.
to our very first episode of the Potions for Breakfast podcast.
I'm Izzy.
Izzle for shizzle.
God, cut that part.
And I'm Melissa.
All right. Well, I'm from Colorado. I was born and raised here. And what got me into this kind of thing, which I've told you before, is when my parents took me to Tombstone for my 10th birthday. That's kind of what kicked off my interest. I mean, I had an interest in it beforehand, and that's why they brought me to Tombstone. But, yeah, that just kind of solidified it, especially with that picture, which hopefully I can find of...
Hopefully you can.
Yeah.
So we can upload it and show them.
That would be nice.
Those lovely people.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what got me into it. It's been like that my whole life. So, I'm just a spooky biddy. My whole life. All things spooky, haunted, and whatever. I like me some adrenaline rush.
Did you have any...
And I'm not from Colorado, by the way. I'm from South Dakota, hence the accent.
I was going to say, did you have any experiences growing up in your house?
Absolutely. Thank you for that great question, Izzy.
I'm full of them. Can I say?
I'm full of them. You're full of it, that's for sure. Yes, I did. And I feel like that's something that we should save for another episode.
Is it
Because
that much?
There's a lot of stories.
Okay.
And there's a whole lot of background to it. And that, if we were to dive into it, we'd be here all night.
That's fair. Probably the same
Somebody's got to
to
go take a nap because she's a grandma.
I am a grandma. Well, in honor, I think, of both of our enjoyment living in Colorado, because it is a really great place to live, I think.
Expensive, but great.
For sure. We are going to be covering a pretty famous landmark. I think one of the more famous landmarks in the entire world.
And one of the most haunted hotels in America.
That would be the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park,
Colorado.
Thank you. I'm sure they didn't know that.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
All right, well, I'll be covering a little bit of the history of the park and the construction of the Stanley. And then Alyssa's going to be taking over for the haunted portion of it. And
our lovely friend, Stephen King.
Yes. Also...
a legend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, without further ado. All right, so Estes Park was... I don't even know how to say it. It was founded by... he was like a publicist, a journalist, William Byers. And he named the town after Joel and Patsy Estes.
You dug deep.
I did a little bit of digging. Joel and Patsy Estes kind of hosted William Byers in their house, and that's why he named it after them. He was just kind of so enamored by them that the town became famous in their name, I think. So, following that was the year... Oh, God, I didn't even write down the year. 1864.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure the Stanley was like, what, 1904? So it had to have been obviously before then.
Well, yeah, about 1904. No, they started the construction in 1907. Finished it in 1909. But Freeland Stanley moved to the area in 1903. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But, thank you. Yeah, so 1864, the town was kind of established by the name that we know today. It was a very difficult area to get to at the time, and even after Freeland Stanley invested a lot of time and money into making the town more accessible, it still took about 5 hours to get there from Loveland, which Nowadays, it takes about an hour.
Not
Not
it's like
even
an hour,
an hour.
from here, and we're like technically 40 some miles from Estes.
So probably about 45 minutes from Loveland.
Yeah.
All right, so the like I said, the town was a pretty difficult place to get to, and therefore a lot of people didn't know about it until it gained a lot of media attention from a college student, I think from Boulder, who kind of challenged herself to spend a week in the park without any kind of resources, just like in the wilderness. Turned out to be a publicity stunt, but it gained the park a lot of media attention. The person that we'll talk about the most here, the one that built the hotel, Freeland Oscar Stanley.
F.O.
F.O. Stanley was an inventor and an entrepreneur from Massachusetts. And he moved to the area to kind of find sanctuary from the symptoms of TB. So a pretty common prescription at this time.
Which, if you don't know what TB is,
Tuberculosis. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, a common treatment at this time for tuberculosis was the dry climate of Colorado. So there's a lot of more famous historical figures in history that moved to the Colorado mountain towns or area just to escape the more moist climates that you would find out east. Another famous figure that comes to mind is Doc Holliday. He's not from the east, he's from Arizona, but he moved to Colorado in hopes of escaping TB as well. And this was the year 1903, and it actually helped quite a bit. And Freeland Oscar Stanley, F.O. Stanley, I don't know why I keep saying that, he became so enamored with the area that he and his wife Flora actually moved back the following summer in hopes of building a more permanent residence, which became Stanley Hotel.
Which, did you know that the actual original place they moved into, their actual residency, is still up there and it's on a private owned property?
Yeah,
I did not know that till today.
Yeah. Oh.
I was today years old when I learned.
So, the property that they built the Stanley on, they actually purchased from Lord Dunraven.
Lord
Dunraven.
Let me whip out my sword.
Because he was essentially just like driven out of the area.
Well, there was some sketchy stuff I think that was going on with that situation. Like, some weird hunting ground scenario was going on, and he was apparently, like, I don't know too much details about it, but he was sketchy about it, and kind of like a cheapskate.
Cheapskate?
Yes, thank you. I can't talk. Let's drink some more of that wine, shall we?
Yeah.
But pretty much, they ended up running him out of town, and you can look more into that. Dr. Google will tell you all about that. No one needs to waste their more time on Lord Dunraven.
Yeah. What a waste of air.
She said it.
Yeah, so F.O. Stanley, he really wanted to turn Estes Park into a resort town, which I think is a pretty common way to look at it today, so I guess he was successful in that. He spent a lot of, like I said, time and money trying to make this place more accessible. So he actually partially funded Highway 34 and Highway 36, which is the big Thompson Canyon Road. That's Highway 34, and then St. Vrain Road, which is Highway 36. And those are the two major routes up to Estes. Yeah, so they started the construction in 1907 of the hotel, and then from there, I think they built like a, what's it called? A hydroelectric plant.
Oh, the plant or the cars?
Both.
So, brush up on our facts over here. The steam-powered cars.
Yeah.
I can't think of the actual.
Well, that
what you're
was
trying to
like
think
that was the most popular mode of transportation after he had built the roads, because he was really promoting the Stanley steamers,
Yes.
the first steam-powered cars, and they kind of became known as mountain wagons.
Yeah.
So,
Did you actually know the first few people that pulled up to the Stanley to stay rolled up in one of his cars?
I did not know that, but that does not surprise
You
me.
do now.
I don't think that they would switch cars after they enter the park just to pull up to the Stanley.
What a smart ass.
So they built a hydroelectric plant, and he brought electricity and running water to the park, which had never been done before. So that was a really big selling point for the Stanley. It was one of the first fully electric hotels. So I had a fully electric kitchen, steam laundry, hydraulic elevator, lights, and telephones that were fully accessible to all of the guests. The hotel originally had 48 guest rooms, which is now 140, and for each pair of guest room, they shared a bathroom. So I would imagine that the bathroom's probably like between the two rooms.
Yeah.
It's not like that now. You get your own bathroom, thankfully. So the hotel itself, and then I believe that the manor, the construction of those was finished in 1909, and then in 1910, everything else kind of followed. And that's kind of just the history.
You're right. It was 1909.
Yeah.
July 4th, to be exact.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now you do.
And now I do.
Happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
Stanley Hotel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would that be its, like, birth, or would it...
I don't know.
I don't know. Grand opening.
Grand opening,
Probably.
there you go.
Okay. Well...
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah. So that's kind of just the history of the park and the construction of the hotel. And from here, I think Alyssa's going to take over a little bit.
And also, did you, FO also had a brother that helped out in all this too. Francis Edgar Stanley.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Twins. Twins. We're going to save the twins. He definitely was around and helped out a lot too.
He just kind of like lurked.
He probably was just a lazy brother and just... Actually, wasn't one of them... one of them did the photography thing.
Both of them did the photography.
Was it both of them?
Mm-hmm.
Glad you know so much.
I know so much.
Encyclopedia.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so tell us about some of the more haunted rooms.
So, let's get into why I think the Stanley Hotel is more widely known now. And I think that they went through a period of time where I think I read about that they actually were thinking about like not being open or like losing volume up there as far as like people coming up there. And oh, hi, Katie.
Hi, Kitty.
And
Dinksy, wanna come up?
thankfully, you gonna come up here and say bye, Mama? You wanna make your debut in here? Come here. Okay, I guess not.
He's a little camera shy.
He's camera shy. But yeah, I think it got back on like the market for people when Stephen King ended up going up there and spending the night or weekend or whatever.
Which was about 60 years after the hotel was actually finished being built, because it had gone bankrupt at some point.
Yes, I think you might be right on that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So F.O. Stanley sold the hotel to the Stanley Corporation. And that was the whole thing. I don't really know the logistics of it, but eventually the hotel went bankrupt. He ended up buying it back during that whole period of time before his passing, but
thank God. I'm pretty sure, didn't I hear like last year that Arizona bought the Stanley Hotel?
The state?
Yeah.
I
it was
didn't
like
know
in the news. Like it was either Arizona or Utah. I think it was Arizona though. And I really hope that they just don't change shit. Because that would be rude. It'd be very rude. But anyway, so pretty much, like, so Stephen King had lived here, lived in Boulder, and ended up going, I don't know what he really was doing, but I don't know if he got stuck in a I've heard he got stuck up in a snowstorm up there, ended up staying at the Stanley, and got a room.
I heard that he and his wife had just heard about it.
And just went up there. See, we got two different stories. You tell us.
Just really depends on what source, I think.
Yeah. We'll go with he got caught in a blizzard.
Because that's the more interesting one.
It sounds more intriguing and more like creepy.
More like the movie.
I mean, pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where people are getting these stories. I don't know. But he stayed in the infamous 217 Red Rum. Red Rum. Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance. Stayed in the 217 room with his wife, Tabitha.
Isn't that the name of his wife in the movie?
No. Just pour yourself another glass. Pour yourself another glass.
She looks like a Tabitha.
No, you ready for it? Guess what her name is in the movie?
Janice.
Wendy.
No.
Just empties the rest of the wine. Her name was Wendy.
Oh my god.
Like Jack and Wendy. And then little poor Danny boy. Poor fucking Danny boy. Anyways.
Tell us more about Danny boy.
Not yet.
Okay.
He's just a fictional character.
Well, I know, but he was inspired.
Portrayed by his son in his dream, pretty much.
Being chased by a fire hose.
Yes. Chased by a fire hose. Which, I think if you actually were to write about that instead of an axe...
Probably wouldn't be as well-selling. I don't
know! If you it's Stephen King. He could make it frickin' freaky.
I guess.
Like an animated hose with like a weird mouth and eyes on. I don't know. We're just... Anyways.
Well, okay, I will admit, I've never read the book. I've only seen the movie, and I didn't find the movie that terrifying.
I feel like as a kid, the music of it, I think, got me more than the actual movie did.
I think the suspense is the scariest part.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I'll have to read the book.
Actually, it's a naked lady that gets me.
Oh, I remember that scene.
And she's even more scarier in the sequel, Dr. Sleep.
She comes back?
Oh.
Is she wearing clothes this time?
No.
Oh, God.
Why would the naked lady put clothes on?
Self-respect.
So, anyways, Stephen King ended up staying there, had a nightmare about his son, which is portrayed as Danny in The Shining, and that he pretty much was getting chased by a hose in his dream, which we all know it's an axe. And he pretty much was inspired to write that book from, like, a night of staying in that hotel. Mm-hmm. And that room has become very famous for it. I know Jim Carrey stayed there while filming. Well, I don't know if it was while filming, but they filmed Dumb and Dumber there as well.
He didn't stay long.
I think he lasted
stayed
within
like 4 hours, and then he just dipped.
He was out. He didn't even stay the night. So it
And
must be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, and I guess while it was the inspiration for that book, oddly enough, it wasn't where they filmed the movie.
No.
Which I think it would have been more interesting if they had filmed the movie at the Stanley, as opposed to, I think it was like some studio in California, and then the
imagery of the hotel
shot was
the Timberline Hotel in Oregon.
Yep.
Oregon or Washington? Oregon. I think.
It was Oregon. Yeah.
Which that would be freaking amazing to go to. Imagine walking into that hotel and they had that carpet laid out.
But the hotel in Dumb and Dumber, Dumb and Dumpier, is the Stanley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the part of the movie where they're walking into the hotel after like the Lamborghini or whatever, and that's not the actual hotel part. That's like the other. Is it the concert hall?
Probably.
No. It's not the concert hall.
The manor?
Yeah, something like that. It's the next bigger building to the right of the actual hotel is where they filmed that. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, did you know it's portrayed in Aspen in Dumb and Dumber, but they actually filmed that in Breckenridge? I literally remember walking downtown Breckenridge, and I'm like, I have seen this before. What?
I am in Dumb and Dumber.
I'm literally like, hold up, this is from Dumb and Dumber. It was pretty cool. It felt like I was in a movie for a hot second. So, yeah. So, anyways, it's been known. 217. It's haunted. What else do I have for 217?
411. Oh.
401. You're jumping ahead of yourself.
Sorry. My bad.
There actually was a gas explosion in the 1920s. Elizabeth Wilson actually survived it. She was in the room.
No, wasn't she like in a gas explosion like twice?
I don't know about twice. She could have been.
Because I thought there was a gas explosion in 1911. And I swear to God, she was in that one too.
We'll have to look into that. We'll look into that. We'll pull it up on your phone. Take a look.
All right. Well,
take a gander.
Keep
going. Chatting.
Keep going.
So she actually survived it. Some say she's the one that's haunting it. I don't know. I don't know if I'd really believe that. People have said that they've seen her ghost. They've felt an invisible force in there. Items have been known to be moved around in that room. And yeah. So I really don't think that she's the one haunting it. Because I don't know.
Tell us what you really think,
I feel like deep down in my heartless heart. And yeah, in my loins. I don't feel like she'd be the one haunting it, especially if it was that bad that Stephen King had a nightmare in that room, and like she just, to me, I mean, I didn't know her personally, but she just doesn't come off as someone that's gonna be that terrifying in a room. Like, if anyone's gonna be terrifying in room 217, it's not
gonna be Elizabeth Wilson.
It's gonna be me. it's gonna be me.
Oh my.
And I think that, yeah, that was the room that Jim Carrey stayed in, if I didn't state that. But a couple other rooms that have been known is room 428. That is the room of people see a cowboy in there. Some say that they've seen him standing at the edge of the bed, which, I mean, if I woke up... Oh,
yeah, the cowboy.
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Woo, a cowboy, baby.
If I saw a cowboy standing at the edge of my bed, I probably wouldn't be too upset.
Ooh, how do you really feel? Well, it depends on the kind of energy this cowboy's putting off, you know what I'm saying?
If I remember, though, he's just, like, weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, some people say that he's like, they believe it's the spirit of James Nugent or Nugent. I don't quote me on that. How to say that? Pronounce it. That's all I know about that man. I don't know who he is.
He's just lost.
Not the founder.
Definitely not the founder. Those were none of the two people that I mentioned in the beginning.
Whatever is he? Look at Link sitting there watching us. And then there's also 401, not 11. And they say that that's one of the creepiest rooms. And I think Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, well, they stayed in multiple rooms. I remember watching that corny-ass episode of Ghost Adventures. And
don't diss Zach Bacon.
I'm not dissing the man. I'm not dissing the man. That whole episode is corny. It is. That little girl, when he's doing the interview on her, and she's like 11, and she's like, yes, Daddy Zach. She's just like...
I remember this part of the episode where, like, he was looking into this fish tank, and I don't know if he, like, wanted to make it look like the fish that were swimming in there were, like, ghost fish.
Yeah.
Or something, but that's, like, the most vivid memory that I have of that episode.
You would. Of all things. Of all things, you would. It's also said to be haunted by a male ghost, Lord Dunraven, who we've already established is not worth the, what'd you say, oxygen? What did you say?
A waste of air?
Well, same thing. Same thing. Waste of air, apparently. And he was an Irishman, so not that really matters. But hey, Irishman.
That is so relevant.
What? How's it going? I'd like me an Irish man.
I prefer Scottish men, but...
Well, same...
Scottish cowboy standing at the edge of my bed? Is that a thing?
I don't know if that was Lord Dunraven, though.
That
cowboy.
doesn't sound like Lord Dunraven.
No. I don't know. But reportings have been, from that room, 401, reportings of whispering and some inappropriate grabbing and touching. Ooh.
I read this one source that said, like, one of the ghosts in one of the rooms would, like, steal wedding rings. Which I don't know if there's much truth to that. I want to say it's the cowboy, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it sounds like something Lord Dunraven would do. Since he was a little sketchy anyways. So, we'll just blame it on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll blame it on the waste of fresh air.
And maybe it is that room, because it's also been known as a hostile environment and presence in there, too. Out of all rooms, that's been one of the most hostility environments. And items have gone missing. You're right. I didn't even finish my sentence. She's right. She knows it. She knows it all.
I do.
You really brushed up on your facts there, girl.
There was a...
Anyways, 407 is another one. And that's more known for the friendlier ghost. So we've been told. So
Probably not Lord Dunraven.
Probably not.
No.
I think this one, yeah. This one is they experience being tucked in at night or sitting at the edge of the bed where you would find an indentation in the sheets. Some say that it's been like a nanny.
See, I was thinking that's got to be someone's mom.
Maybe. Or it could have been a nanny, because the floor above them was definitely the nanny and kids area.
Oh, that's true. And I
or
I
a
heard
mom,
that,
yeah.
Like, a lot of people will hear kids playing around the hallways at night.
Do you actually know someone that we work with told me a story about the fourth floor?
I didn't know.
Our boss.
Oh, Sarah stayed?
Sarah last year told me that, so our boss said that she stayed in one of the top floors, like the highest one you can go, and she said all night long she heard all these kids' footprints running back and forth all night long.
Above her?
Yeah, above her.
On the top floor?
Yes, on the fourth floor. So she obviously was on the third then. And the next day she did a tour with, like one of the history tours. I don't know whatever. There's like 5 different tours you can do. But the tour guide said that floor has been off limits for years, so nobody goes up there. So she was a little
spooked.
She was like, if I wasn't skeptical before then, I definitely believe a little now.
See, I've stayed in the hotel twice, and I think the second time was on the 3rd floor. I didn't hear anything.
Wait, you've stayed there twice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, next time we go and stay, we're gonna stay in room 217.
Okay.
Or maybe
those ones are expensive. I was looking at the haunted rooms, and they run like $500.
I'll spend $250. We'll split that shit.
Okay.
We'll get like a group of us, and there you go.
Yeah. And
that way, if we get scared, we can hold each other's hands. No big deal, right?
No.
Izzy, hold my hand! So, yes. And then, yeah, the 4th floor, pretty much just nailed all that information. That's been completely off limits for years.
I don't know if you're going to get to this, and I should probably let you finish before I keep butting in here, but...
No, keep butting in.
One of the other super common experiences that I kind of jotted down in my research was a lot of guests will hear those bathroom faucets running. And I think that has something to do with a little boy that supposedly drowned in the hotel.
And they're actually...
Or something along those lines. A little boy
was a boy
water.
that drowned?
I don't know.
I heard that there was also a little girl that they kicked out, and she, froze to death outside in the middle of winter.
Oh, that doesn't...
Because they weren't open.
Because for a time, they were only open during the summers until I think the year that Stephen King stayed there or thereabouts. Or it was the year after.
I was going to say it was the year after because they were starting to close when he came up there.
Yeah, and so those mountain winters are brutal.
Just like the movie.
Brutal. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's some story with a little boy. And I'm not sure if the little boy is the one that drowned or someone in his life. But a lot of people say that when they're in the shower or in the bathroom, they can hear a little boy crying while they're in the shower, which is sad.
That is sad.
But I don't know if there's any validity to that story. I will say that despite the reputation that the hotel has for being haunted, I wouldn't say that there's a whole lot of verified deaths there.
No. And I think for the most part, like 80-90% of like the hauntiness is like friendly entities. Like they're not, there's maybe a few that are like a little bit more demonic. Like
there's like a vortex to...
Yes, I have a little information on that.
And while there maybe weren't a whole lot of deaths there, that's not to say that there aren't spirits that go back to haunt the hotel because it was such an enjoyable place to stay.
Yes. And also one of those people,
was a butler, I think.
Butler. Wasn't his name like Grady or something? And they put that...
Grady the butler?
Yeah, like they put it in the movie like that. Like one of the bartenders or something like that was named like
I
legit.
don't think his name was Grady, but I know who you're talking about.
It was something like that. Like something similar to the actual movie. And I think he transferred it to the movie.
Yeah.
Like the same name and stuff.
I know who you're...
I can't think of something like that. There was also... Where is my note on that one? Somewhere. There was a guy named Paul that worked in... Oh, right here. Worked in the concert hall, which is, I guess, is like the most haunted spot on the whole property.
I do actually have a story about that whenever you're done.
Let's hear it.
Well, so the first time I stayed in a hotel was with my dad and my sister, and we had gone on the ghost... Why are you laughing?
Because that little shit down there.
Oh, look, there's the other one.
We're talking about my cats. FYI.
So we had gone on the haunted tour that they host at night when the sun goes down. So they have like the historic tour, and then they have the ghost tour that they
have like the Stephen King one, the historic one, the nighttime one. There's like a whole bunch of different ones that they have.
So this one in particular was the ghost tour. They had brought us into the concert hall, and they mentioned like a lot of the guests on the tour would like hear music in the concert hall and things like that, which I didn't hear.
Which a lot of people say it's Flora.
Yeah, because she had that piano.
FO built it pretty much for her.
Mm-hmm. And to have that grand piano in the concert hall. So I didn't hear any music, but they had brought us down to the basement level.
They did on that tour?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I want to go. Because this guy named Paul had a room down there.
Oh, did he?
I don't supposedly he did.
Maybe they left that out during the tour.
He used to work there from 1995 to 2005. Oh. So in that time era.
Oh, okay. So this was kind of like where performers would get ready for their concerts and whatnot. And there's this little hallway that goes down to like towards the back of the basement, and you got like a bunch of these clothes racks and everything. But I had my back facing the hallway, and I heard this noise coming from one of the rooms behind me while the guy was talking. So that's like my story. That's kind of the extent. Story, yeah, which you kind of chalk just up to nerves, but that's my little blurb about
your blurb
ghost tour. That's the only interesting thing that happened to me.
How did you feel about it?
I was like, oh, that was weird.
You didn't feel like scared, or you just was like, eh?
No, I mean, It was like, I believe in ghosts, but I'm also a healthy skeptic. So, when you are on a ghost tour and you hear something pertaining to a ghost, you kind of have to question whether
You're already, hyper, your awareness is oh, I'm out looking and hearing extra hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when you just watched a scary movie by yourself and you're turning out all the lights
and
in the
you hear one freaking noise and it's, oh my god!
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And then you also have to wonder, that's their selling point. They're going to do things to push those scary...
I don't know. I feel like the Stanley's pretty... They do push a lot, but I feel like it's a lot of verbal, factual, pushing versus actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it. But
not to say that nothing in the Stanley is haunted, but I will say that the power of the mind is pretty...
powerful as well.
Yes. It's very
Speaking of stories, so I went up last year actually with Linda. Hi, Linda. We went up last year with her and her mom and ended up getting stuck up there because of a snowstorm. Mm-hmm. Ironic. Stephen King. Hello.
Did you get chased through the hallways by
a
giant hose?
I'd be the one chasing people. But we did one of the tours, I think just the spookier tour, I think, but they took us down to one of the cave tunnels below the main hotel, and, I mean, it's creepy for one to already be down there and looking around. It's okay, whatever.
Well, underground is just scary.
It is. And it, to be fair, it was all dark, it was creepy. The vibes were there, I'm not, super, super intuitive, but, I do have a little bit, I can feel and read a room.
Sensitive.
I'm so sensitive! But, I can feel a room, when I walk in it, and, when we walked down there, I was like, ooh, okay, there's, definitely, I felt something, but, it wasn't, bad or anything, but we stood, I'll have to show you the picture later, but we stood, towards the back-ish. And there was no one behind us, but someone pinched the back of my thigh.
Because if I remember, in
Straight
that room,
up.
there's this... obviously
it's
you're
a
surrounded
big
by walls on four sides.
Rocks and wall and...
Yeah, and that's where the staff would go. Because I think...
There are break rooms down there, actually. Yeah. They told us you go down there and you go through this little tunnel, this cave tunnel. It's fucking terrifying. And on the other side of the door that was, lit up is their break room. And I'm like...
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I want to.
Yeah, because I think Stanley, one of his selling points was you didn't see much of the staff at all. So
no,
they would go through these underground tunnels.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of
just kind
tunnel
of
systems
to stay hidden,
which is smart, but also terrifying. I heard that there was one of the employee buildings that Ghost Adventures. Do you remember that episode? Ghost Adventures went in there and it was
it's the
people
carriage house,
something like that. People don't go in it at all, and
it's just a storage place,
pretty much
mainly nowadays.
It's definitely not anything to brag about when you walk in, other than oh my god, it's terrifying. Oh my god. But Paul used to work in one of the most haunted spots on the property, which was a concert hall. And he worked there 1995, 2005.
1995. Oh.
10 years.
Okay.
95 to 05.
For some reason, I was thinking the beginning of the 1900s to 2005. I was like, how old is this man?
Clearly old. Must be a really well put together ghost or something. I don't know.
Must be.
But he ended up having chest pains and a heart attack or something, and ended up dying.
In the hall?
No, I don't think it was in the hall. They rushed him, I think, somewhere. But, that's where he had been living, pretty much.
Okay.
But, he was always somebody that would enforce a curfew at night, make sure everyone, get out of, some of the buildings, and,
I imagine he took these habits into the afterlife.
Oh, yeah. Because people have been, stating that they hear "Get Out"
Ooh.
out of the concert hall, and
I like that.
I don't either. And there was a construction guy.
I was on Paul's side. I was like, this is such a nice guy. He's like,
maybe
trying
he
to
is a
keep
nice
people
guy.
safe, but then he's like, get
maybe
out.
he's like, I need some peace and quiet.
You know, I probably would too.
I would do that.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
Like, get out!
He didn't get any peace and quiet during his life. He had to get it in
Clearly
the
not.
afterlife.
Yeah, right. And there actually was a construction guy that was working there and said that he felt a push towards the door to, like, get out. And he felt like a push towards the door and his arms got, like, pulled.
Mm.
Or it was something like that. Don't quote me exactly on how that happened, but
He must like his alone time.
Amen to that.
Well, and I think even now the Stanley is still technically under construction.
I think it always kind of low-key is. But yeah, also the concert hall was, it's known for the piano plays in there. You'll see the lights flickering, pushing. People have been saying they hear Get Out of there, so I guess if you hear that, you might as well just listen to the ghost. And he'll chase you around and haunt you, because that's what I would do. Hey, that rhymed.
You're a busy girl.
But yeah, so there's a little bit about the rooms. Actually, the first time I actually went to the Stanley, when was that? Like 4 years ago already now? 3 years ago.
I think mine was about the same time.
Yeah?
Maybe we ran into each other.
Oh my god, maybe we saw
Actually,
each
no,
other.
mine was like during the second time I went was during the summer.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's so hot up there. I went in July and it was like 90-some degrees.
They don't have
and that's
AC. So yeah, it is hot at the Stanley.
Hell no.
You just have like the cool mountain air.
The crisp
Crisp.
But the first time I ever visited the Stanley, because I'm a huge Stephen King person, and I was like, you know, why not? And I went with one of my friends from back home. We flew out here. I was looking for places to live, and we were outside on the back half of the main hotel part, and I literally stopped in my tracks, got goosebumps. My friend did too, and we literally turned around and stared at one particular room, and I really don't know which room it is. It was on the top floor. That's all I know. It's like how do I word it? It's like up at the top in one of the rooms that are kind of sticking out a little bit. But I like stood there and froze and stared at it, and I didn't have like the best feeling from it. So that was a weird feeling.
Maybe it's Lord Dunraven.
Hey, cowboy. No. Hey, Irishman. But yeah, so I definitely have gotten some vibes from there. I think it's great and cool and a little freaky, but
I think overall just the reputation definitely adds to the spook factor, obviously it's a place that's very revered for its hauntings. And probably it's never going to go away, I can't imagine.
So if any of you have never read The Shining, get your asses on it. Red rum. Or I'll come red rum you. Just kidding. And there's also a... Don't spell it backwards. Murder. That should be our intro. Murder. And there's also a sequel, Dr. Sleep, when Danny is an adult and has to go back to the hotel. So check them out. They're great, and you're gonna read it.
I'm gonna be forced to read them at some point.
Yes,
I'm sure.
And we'll watch it the day that fall officially hits, like the weather-wise, because it's been like it looks fall out now, but like when we get that fog and the coolness, we're gonna sit down and watch The Shining.
Okay.
Did you actually know that there's a mini-series that Stephen King himself produced instead of Steven Spielberg?
Yes.
No, Stanley Kubrick, sorry.
I think that has more to do with the Stanley Hotel. I
And
think
the book.
mini-series was actually shot at the hotel.
It was, because down in the basement they have like that huge, what am I thinking of? An actual like Stanley Hotel replica down in the basement. And they used that in his mini-series, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. So I think I know what you're talking about. On the bottom floor, where they have where you can book the tours.
Yes.
And then,
yes.
like,
where the chocolate used to be down there. Yeah.
It used to be. It's not there anymore?
It probably still is, but they moved it to the main street of Estes, and it's called the Stanley Chocolate Factory.
I thought they were in both of them.
Is that open yet, by the way? Because I would love to go get some chocolate.
Probably.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because we're going to be going up to the Stanley in a couple weeks anyways for her birthday. We're going to be celebrating the Spooky Biddy.
Yay.
Hopefully we get the ghost all riled up too and wanting to party.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Maybe we'll make a vlog out of it. Of, like, just a video and, like, us messing around at the Stanley. We can maybe make a vlog out of it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps up the episode.
Leo?
Unless you've got anything else to add.
That will be the end of our very first episode of the podcast, Potions for Breakfast. Stay tuned. We'll film every Fridays and we'll upload Saturday morning so you can sip on your little potions while watching our podcast. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. It was fun. Till next week.
Bye.
Bye.